And welcome back to another episode of the Grippin' and Rippin' Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Tops. We've got Chris Stockwell back here with us.
Yep.
And today's guest, a very special guest, probably our most notable guest thus far, I would say.
I'd say so.
That's concerning.
So far.
It's more of a compliment towards you instead of an insult towards us, but I guess it could be looked at that way. Ken Boehlke. Thank you for coming on the show, sir.
You got it. Thanks for having me. I like this. This is good.
We got that from the first preseason game.
This is good. Yeah, Mark Stone. It's a nice one. I'm having a hard time figuring out the sticks, though. I can't get the stick to go in the guy's hand on the one I have. You guys have the same problem. See here, the stick doesn't. The stick kind of wants to. It's a nightmare.
Which bobblehead did you get?
Oh, I have all of them, and on none of the four do these sticks go into the little slot here that they're supposed to. Poor bobblehead design. Let's see if.
Sounds like
in China. That sounds about right.
There you go. Now we know why.
So if you guys don't know, Ken runs the SinBin account on Twitter, and that's kind of the whole Golden Knights situation is really prominent right now just because of the date that it is today, and preseason hockey is now over.
Thank God.
And we've got the regular season starting. So we are very, very happy to have you here, and we want to get into the Knights, really. We're both big fans.
Let's go.
And we love, we love our homers too. So, well, just real quick, before we get into that, what other teams are you fans of?
I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which was a terrible decision as an 8-year-old. I decided to like Pirates. I wish I liked something else.
But hey, that was around the 2002
That was. I was
Super Bowl.
14. Yeah, I was a little before that. I was 14 when they won the Super Bowl. That's the last time they won a game that mattered. So that's good. And I guess this last week wasn't bad.
You stand by them through thick and thin.
Yeah, I like
That's
U.S.
a true
soccer.
fan, though.
I always watch. I like U.S. soccer. They're probably one of my favorite teams ever. I used to like the Bulls and the White Sox, but hockey's kind of made me not care as much about those as much anymore.
But I respect the hell out of it.
Yeah, and then I went to University of Missouri, so I like Missouri basketball and the band football team.
Nice, dude.
Bowl band. What a joke. I don't even know what we did. I wasn't paying attention. And somebody wrote some essays for kids or something. I don't remember.
Just out of curiosity, how did you become a White Sox and a Bulls fan?
I grew up in southwest suburbs of Chicago.
Oh, no shit. All right.
You guys are best friends.
Palos
All
Park,
of a
yeah.
sudden.
You grew up in Palos?
Yeah, I'm anti-Chicago though, so you probably hate me.
No, I mean, depends on
Yeah,
what
he
type of
does.
anti-Chicago you are.
I don't really like Chicago.
I hate the weather.
I just don't like much of anything about Chicago, to be honest. Like, I grew up there, yeah, but I wanted to get the hell out of there. Weather was terrible. Everyone shoots each other. It's impossible to get anywhere, anytime. There's Cubs fans everywhere.
That's my biggest
Yeah,
gripe.
like I don't. What is there good? Like, can someone tell me something good about Chicago? Like, the lake is nice, I guess. But
Lake is nice.
like
Summertime
3
is
months a year.
nice.
Not really. It's really not. If you really think about it. It's
I don't mind it
humid
too
as
much.
shit. It's like 100.
I don't mind it. The Bears and the White Sox and the Bulls, I enjoy.
I'm not a Bears fan. White Sox are good. Baseball's a thing.
I love going to games on the South Side.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go there. Hot
but
dogs,
outside
I
of
like hot dogs.
I mean, the food's fantastic.
Yeah, we got Windy City Beefs around here.
That's where I go.
Yeah, that's good.
I think they got a Windy City Beach actually right down the road.
Yeah, it's
from
right here.
Yeah, mine's on my side of town. About
Closes
the
at
Target.
8 though, so we're gonna have to hustle.
I don't think we're gonna get any beef
I don't
today.
think so either.
I actually just had a beef on Sunday though.
Did you ever try that Al's beef on Sahara and Rainbow?
Overrated. Get out of
Never
here.
heard of it.
Yeah, don't
That's
talk
the only
about
place that I
don't
went
talk
to.
about Al's beef.
Is
Obviously
it supposed to be a
closed.
Chicago place?
It
It's
is.
from there,
It's
yeah.
amateur hour.
Oh,
It's
fuck
weak.
that.
It is. If you go to Phoenix, Portillo's is really good.
They got a
drove to
Portillo's in
Chicago,
I
Phoenix?
think
yeah, there's
I went
Portillo's
to
in Phoenix.
I went to Portillo's when I went to Chicago.
And see, I'm not even a big Portillo's guy. I feel like that's like the McDonald's of Chicago food.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm not
but
a big
that's fair.
Portillo's
That's
guy.
fair.
Okay.
Me, I'm a Mr. Beef kind of guy.
I don't think I like other sports teams. I hate lots of sports teams.
Which teams do you
Good.
hate?
And Cubs, of course.
They had a baby.
Yeah,
But see, out of everything Chicago-wise, that's the only thing he's
Yeah,
got to
that's
say.
all
for me
that
to
really
like.
matters. I don't
The only thing he's got to
You
say.
hate the Cubs. So
I
that's
don't
good.
particularly like any of the teams in the NFC South because they always win too often, which annoys me. Yeah, that's about it. I guess all hockey teams that aren't the Golden Knights, I hate them all. Everyone
Is
sucks.
there a team that you hate more?
Yeah, that's probably the one they're playing the next 2 games that would probably be above that. It's more their building. I can't stand that goddamn building.
Have you been there?
Oh, I was
Building,
there for Game 7.
The fans. Oh, you told me. All right, so now we're going to talk about talk about the Knights, and first we're going to get into the Sharks and how atrocious they just are. They just fucking suck. What's
They're good at hockey, they just, as people.
Yeah, they're just bad. They're just bad people.
Yes.
Like some of
We
them.
don't respect them.
Well, some of them.
We still feel some type of way.
Hurdle's a nice guy.
What was the story you told me about their arena?
Oh, it's a shithole. Is that the story I told you? I can't stand the SAP Center.
It's such a shithole.
So, like, first of all, it was built in. I mean, it feels like it was built in like the '60s, and it wasn't. Like, I really don't understand. I think it was built in like the '90s at some point, and I was there for a morning skate the first year in the playoffs. So that would be 2018. We were up there for games 3 and 4, and we went to morning skate, and I was just kind of getting a feel for the arena. It's the first time I'd ever been inside the arena, and it's morning skate, so there's no one there. And this security guard comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, you notice you're looking around a lot. Like, what's going on? You're looking a little weird over here. Like, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I've never been here before. I'm from Vegas. I'm covering the team. Like, I'm just looking around and trying to figure out like where things are." He's like, "Hopefully you're not looking for a press box." I'm like, "Well, that would be good. And that's where I was planning on sitting, and that's normally where I sit." He's like, "Oh yeah, so here, let me tell you a good story. So when they were building this place, they built the whole thing out, and the owner was going through a walkthrough, and they showed him the locker rooms and the bench, and here's the club level. And at the end of the tour, the owner says, 'Well, where's the press box?' And the guy who designed the building was like, 'The what now?' They didn't make a press box. They legitimately forgot to put a press box in the building. It was an accident.
That's just bad management.
So now
It starts at the top.
It's in the catwalk. Like, it's actually in the catwalk. There's like basically planks of wood that are in the catwalk across the catwalk, and you take some stairs up there that.
That doesn't sound
Borderline.
OSHA.
You've got to
And-
strap a cord
Yeah,
in and
and
everything.
if you're the super unfortunate folks, which luckily I have never been, they actually have a long catwalk that goes out above, so it would be above like behind the goal, like a fan section behind the goal in the upper deck. That's about where it is, and you take a catwalk pretty far to get out there, and there's just a table on. I mean, it kind of looks like this. Just a random table just on a plank of wood. It's the most ridiculous thing. The locker room is probably 300 yards from where the Golden Knights come off the ice, so they go off the corner. There's no tunnel between the bench and where the coaches go, so the coaches have to walk with their fancy pants shoes along the boards, like shuffling their feet. The place is a joke. Plus, not to mention, there's an energy in that place that just makes you want to kill yourself, which that's not my fault. I wouldn't even say it's fans' fault. I just think there's something about that building.
It's like built on a grave or something.
It's just brutal.
Indian burial ground.
Yeah, it just has this horrible aura to it, and I felt that before.
You can like feel it through the
Game
TV.
7. Now it's like, man, now it's brutal. But I don't know. I'll tell you another story about that place. So early in so it would have been game 1 up there this past season. My seat, again, because they didn't have a press box, my seat happened to be behind the very last row of the stands. They have little tables, and we have, I could plug my computer in and work. So that's where I'm sitting. Well, in front of us, there was a group of people that they kept getting yelled at for leaning forward. So they would be sitting in their seats, and they would lean forward like that to look.
So probably, I'm guessing, to see the game.
To watch the game, because they're excited.
Why would they want to do that?
They're excited.
They're just fans.
I don't know.
Stupid fans.
Well, they have these, and their ushers wear these like bright, vibrant purple coats. And it's very weird, like regal looking, whatever. They always go down and they're like, "Hey, stop leaning forward." And they like move them back. And this guy was like, "Well, what do you mean stop leaning forward?" He's like, I'm at a hockey game. I'm trying to see. He's like, "Well, if you lean forward, the people behind you can't see." And he turns around to the people behind him and he's like, "Can you see?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're fine." She goes, No, it's not them. It's people 9 rows up." And I heard this, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta figure this out tomorrow. So we went downstairs the next day at morning skate and tested it. I sat in like row 6, leaned forward, and I had a buddy of mine who writes for another publication sit like 4 rows back and about 9 seats over. And with me leaning forward, he couldn't see the goal.
That's crazy.
The building is just built horrendously that if someone leans forward, it ruins someone's day.
So pretty much every seat in that place is an
Awful.
obstructed view.
There's not. Well, if the person 4 up and 3 to the right, playing Twister.
It's a horrible game of fan
It's a
Tetris.
nightmare. That place is awful. Sorry.
As if any Golden Knights fans needed any more reasons to hate San Jose. There's 2 more.
They just keep piling up.
They really do. The rivalry started out fantastic. It was nice that the Golden Knights season 1 we were able to get a nice little rivalry going.
Beat them every time.
Yeah, pretty much kicked their ass, and then they hated us because they couldn't beat us. That is what it is. But it's grown from there, and now it's almost just like a pure
It's bad.
Yeah.
Well, apparently we haven't struggled through anything, so we don't deserve to be fans.
Yeah, maybe.
I know that you've seen
your
that
team
a
should
bunch.
just be better. I don't know.
Well, they did win, but
We could argue that about how they fucking won that
I'm fine
game.
with arguing it. I actually just recently told Bill Foley that it was bullshit. He agreed with me.
So yeah, I did listen to the beginning of that. How was it having Bill Foley?
That was fun. That was fun.
It's not the first time, right?
That is the first time, and it's just mainly because of the first time I actually grew a sack to ask. It's like I'm gonna do it this year. So we went for it. Yeah, he was awesome. He's super. He's an unbelievably down-to-earth guy for being a trillionaire or whatever the hell amount of money he has. It's absurd.
And what's it? You dubbed him the creator.
The creator, yeah. I'm still find it a little weird that he doesn't find that weird. Like
he likes it.
Yeah, he kind of enjoyed it, and I'm like, that's a little bit odd there, bud. He should be telling me don't do that anymore. That's super weird. He has, and I've heard this from multiple people in the organization. He has referred to himself as the creator in meetings, which
awesome.
They all just want to kill me when that happens. 'Cause he's like, well, I created this. And they're like, shut the fuck up, man.
Man, if you got a cool ass nickname like that, why not use
Well, I all it was for me was a way to write some funny I basically write the story of Genesis as he is God and create the stamp. It's really bad. But he claims he read it or reads it multiple times, which again,
so he goes back to it and checks it out.
Yeah, it seems like a character flaw.
But if you're the creator, you don't need to go back and read this.
Well, you would think
you just know
this
them.
would be super weird if imagine if you pull up a website by some dude you've never met in your life about something that doesn't even exist yet, and he's you're being personified as God. That would be weird for me.
That's an ego trip, though.
Yeah,
man.
I would think this is a little bit awkward for me, but for him, whatever.
He's got it in his an iPad right next to pen.
Yeah, it's on.
Opens it up.
It's on his favorite.
It's on his
I did this.
bookmarks. He's got the bookmarks all over it. It's constant. It's one of the tabs on his phone that he won't swipe over. It's a real problem.
Anytime he faces a problem in life, he just goes.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? Check this out. These lunatics on this site think I'm God, so you have to listen to me now.
Well, shit.
You better respect me as such.
Yeah, right.
Respect my authority.
You should respect him
For sure.
Still, it's a little weird to me. I told him. I did actually kind of tell him. I'm I think that's weird.
You did.
Yeah.
How did he respond?
He didn't care.
Nah. Hey, well, you got a shit ton of money.
He's got a long history of ignoring my opinions.
Speaking of your opinions, you got a pretty good Twitter following. You're pretty, I would say, successful.
We're working on it. I don't know about that word.
I've got a lot of people that follow you, and I told Chris that I wanted to do maybe a little Q&A. I brought some questions from some people that I work with that follow you.
Oh boy.
Number 1 is your feelings on Cody Glass, and will he be starting on the second line?
It was going to be Subban. Is Subban among your questions?
It can be if you want.
Most people just want to peck me about Subban. How can you possibly say he's not the worst goalie of all time? Because he's not? I don't know. Okay, back to Cody Glass.
We can get there because I agree with that point.
So I think that they are going to start Cody Glass in the second line tomorrow. I do think he's going to play power play time as he should. I think he's out of position on the power play, which I find a little weird, but we'll see how that goes. They have him down more in front of the goal as opposed on the half wall, which to me, I would rather have him in his best position and let Pacioretty or Stone play slightly out of position, but we'll see how that goes. But the reason I think they're going with Glass on that second line as opposed to putting him on the third line, which kind of would make more sense, is because the idea is that with him, he's going to be elevated by Pacioretty and Stone, where Stastny has the ability to possibly elevate Zykov and Peary.
Stastny is more of a standalone piece.
He can elevate the players.
What I was saying to you is,
which is what we talked about a little earlier.
Allows for Cody Glass to kind of grow.
Correct. And I think the main thing is that if you were to put Glass with Zekov and Peary, there's really not a great identity to that line. They're not going to be a scoring line. They're not terrific defensively. They're probably not going to create a lot. They have to play more direct, straight line hockey as opposed to chip and chase, which isn't really Zekov's game. And so it's kind of a mess. The problem with the situation that they're setting up, though, and it doesn't really come into play in this game because they're going to play at home, is that the matchup becomes a problem. I think if you put a guy like a Tomas Hertl out there against Cody Glass, it can be a problem. He's going to have a hard time sticking with him just because Hertl's a monster.
I was going to say, Hertl's huge, isn't
He's a beast, and that's a very good line, and they're going to try to get that situation, and if you start in the defensive end, it's going to be a challenge. Now, granted, he's got good wingers that can help him out, but I think that that's a situation where you are going to see them switch a little bit. I don't think Glass is going to play every single shift with Stone and Pacioretty. Mm-hmm. They're going to do a little bit of switching. They're going to try and figure things out. I think they'll skip Glass from time to time. Wouldn't shock me if they even skip the third line as a whole from time to time, especially if they get a lead. They're going to be a little bit more flexible with it, and it's going to make it real interesting going back after the game to see what type of coaching went into this game, because he doesn't have a lineup I think he's comfortable with, because he has a center that he's not really sure about that being.
Now, do you still think that Cody Glass, I mean, I know he was our first round draft pick, yes?
And first overall, yeah. He went sixth overall, the first Golden Knights draft pick ever, yeah.
And is he still being heralded as everything that he came out of the draft to be, as one of the best centers from the draft? He should be a superstar in the making for the NHL, for the Golden Knights.
He really wasn't dubbed as that when he came out. Like, they picked sixth, and it was considered a heavily down draft. When you look back at the draft, it actually ends up being pretty good. Heishier's good. Heskinen's real good. Makar is going to be good. Pettersson went right before him. So there's 4 guys that went in front of him that are really good. But when you really considered what he was supposed to be, he was supposed to be, like, at best, a Paul Stastny, who's a good player, but he's not changing your franchise. He's not McDavid. He's not Austin Matthews.
He's like an 80-point-a-year guy, right? Or used to be, at least.
He's more like 70. He's more like 70. Yeah, 60 to 70, and that's really good, like the best. And I think that's kind of where Glass could be. But I think what's going to make Glass really good is he's just unbelievably good in his own end. He's super responsible defensively. He's never out of position. He's never on the wrong side of the puck when he turns it over. He's a terrific penalty killer. His stick is really, really strong for how big he is, because he's not a terribly large guy. He's got really good reach. I think he's going to be the kind of guy where you're going to say, at any moment, I'm perfectly fine putting this guy out on the ice.
So you think he's probably always going to be a second-line type of guy, or you think
I think he's somewhere in between Eakin and Stastny.
Okay.
So I don't think he'll ever quite get to Stastny's scoring potential, but I think he's already a better player than Eakin, or at least will be within the next few games here. I think once he really speeds up to the speed of the NHL game and starts to get more experience and learn more things that come his way, he'll get a better feel for it. But I don't think that he's going to be the type of player, like, let's put it this way, when you pick 6th overall, you're trying to draft a player that when you're highlighted on NBC, they say, this player and the Golden Knights take on Tomas Hertl and the San Jose Sharks. I don't think he's going to be that. I think he's going to be more of a player that's going to be a helpful piece. You're never going to want to lose him. You're always going to want him on your team, but he's never going to be the guy.
The dude.
Yeah, it's not Jonathan Marchessault and the Golden Knights. It's not going to be Cody Glass and the Golden Knights.
Yeah. And I think he did a great job. Go ahead.
I was going to say, that's okay with him and the way that this team is.
It's a little underwhelming for a 6th pick to me.
Is it?
To be honest. And that's not necessarily Cody Glass's fault, because I just think that draft wasn't very good. It's just a little frustrating that an expansion team comes in, and yes, the expansion rules were 1,000 times better than they've ever been, but they were, in any sport ever, the worst draft pick in expansion team history, and they picked 6th. And had they picked anywhere else, they would have had Miro Heiskanen probably, which is a stud.
And that's what the one thing that they're looking for, or have been looking for, is the player that takes them over the top. I know Stone was brought in kind of as that guy.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be that guy.
And he already has been, for sure.
He's amazing.
Yeah. But they need the influx of the youth superstar also, kind of like that. Like, how do you go about getting one of those?
They're in a bit of a weird spot, because they came into the league thinking, let's get all these assets, and then let's find a way to build through the draft and through these assets. And the idea was, we take a guy like a James Neal, like a David Perron, and we'll ship him off at the deadline and get something back. And the thought was, they wanted 6 to 8 first-round picks in their first couple of years. They ended up with 3, and they actually had a 4th, because you get one. and they traded that. So what happened was the timeline gets accelerated. So rather than taking all these pieces that were supposed to turn into first round picks, they opted to take all the pieces and turn them into good players now. They turned them into what amount to first round picks. Max Pacioretty, Stone, Tatar was supposed to be that. Mm-hmm. They found a way to kind of accelerate that timeline. The issue now, though, is because they don't have a long history of drafts, they only have 3 drafts under their belt, and the way hockey works is it takes about 3 to 4 years for the majority of players to be ready. They're in a spot where there's a massive hole in the middle of their roster.
Like the youth.
They have a lot of guys that are in their prime right now, between 26 and 31-ish. And then they have a bunch of guys that are between 18 and 20 that are the next wave. It's the in-between that's the problem.
Got no 20s to 25s
that
are like
the
next wave.
It's Tuck,
literally
Theodore, and that's about it. Like Carrier's young, Waz young, but they're not that good.
But speaking about what, going back to what you said about we need that next superstar, that guy that's going to be the face of the franchise, wasn't that supposed to be Tuck? Wasn't he supposed to be the guy that was supposed to? Because he came from Minnesota, correct? He was on the Wild.
Yeah,
he was supposed to be that next young guy center,
and he's doing it. He's a winger, but
I still don't think that that's out of the question for him to really.
I don't know that he's like what you're looking for him to be is that classic power forward that just dominates games by using his speed and strength. I think he can be that, but I don't think he can be the type of guy that you build your roster around. That's more Mark Stone. That's more a guy like a William Karlsson. If Cody Glass were to take that step and figure out how to create offense himself, he could be that guy. Your best bet's going to be Glass, although Peyton Krebs is good. This kid they picked in the last draft, he's really, really good. He would have gotten picked a lot higher if his Achilles didn't get slit with a skate.
Jesus.
And so but again, he's 18. His Achilles is currently slit with a skate.
That's not good.
He's a ways off. Like, I don't think he's going to be on the Golden Knights for years. They gave away their first round pick for 18, so that they don't have that pick. It's a Russian kid that's pretty good. They actually have 2 Russian kids that are good. But like the next wave superstar, I think that they're going to have to rely on Vegas. They're going to have to rely on we're a destination. So when that guy hits the open market, we can sign him. When that guy, Mark Stone, when that guy's available as an RFA, you go out and you make the deal and you sign the contract before he ever steps in Vegas.
How much concern do you have with the ability to actually pick and choose the talent? Because I know they hit on Stone, but for me, a big question that I had was in dealing for Tatar. I felt like they gave up far too much.
Yeah, it was an error.
And it was right at the time where they could have landed Evander Kane with those exact pieces.
Well, I don't think they ever wanted Evander Kane just based solely on
the
fact
that was pre all of this
stuff.
Well,
but he's still Evander Kane. He's still
got
not,
that stigma behind him.
He's not quote unquote character guy. I don't even know what that means, but the problem with Tatar and from what I understand, what happened with Tatar is they made the decision pretty quickly, hey, wait a minute, we don't suck. And then they realized, we might actually be really good. And then they looked at their cap and said, we have a ridiculous amount of cap space. So their thought was, let's go get Erik Karlsson. And the idea at that deadline was go get Erik Karlsson, take on Bobby Ryan's contract, and they were going to have a ton of money thrown out at that time. Well, for whatever reason, it just never came to be. They never could get the Karlsson deal done. And then I think they panicked and said, well, we got to do something. We were planning on doing Erik Karlsson. We decided that our team needs to get better. We better do something. They went out and got Tatar, and then he wasn't a fit with Gallant. He wasn't a fit with some of the lines he was ended up on. It was just a bad situation, and at least they turned it into something.
Did they get something?
They got Pacioretty.
They got Pacioretty for him.
And they gave up Suzuki and a second round pick, which is a lot, but
I think
at least they got something.
It was a decent deal, considering exactly what you're saying. But now,
he's unusable. Tatar became unusable.
So he wasn't even dressing in those playoff games.
You get rid of an unusable piece for a piece that's on your top 6.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling that this is probably going to upset you a lot then, because as far as I know, this is a hot topic for you. We got rid of Gusev.
Yeah, this is from Foley coming in. It sounds to me like they viewed Gusev as an asset. At no moment did they ever view Gusev as a hockey player. They never thought they were going to get him, and then when it became an option to possibly get him, they jumped at the chance to get him, and then when they got him here, they said, well, now let's turned that into something. They didn't want to overpay something that they thought they weren't sure about, which I still find ridiculous that you're not sure about the guy. How many games do you have to play in Russia before you figure out this guy's fucking good? It's not that hard to figure out. Like, I don't understand that. So I think more so the question is, why would you get rid of Halla? Because if you like, as much as I like Gusev, as much as I think the fan base likes Gusev, and as much as I think they're going to look like idiots because Gusev's going to score 60 points this year, and you're going to be sitting here thinking, well, we have Brandon Peary, like,
who wasn't even supposed to be really on the team.
Right, probably could have used Gusev.
Yeah, he had a good tryout, which ended up becoming.
I think Hall is going to be the one that's going to be the issue because you're now. If just even today, they're going into game 1. They don't have Tuck. They don't have Eakin. Well, Eric Halla fits that. Eric Halla fits that. You have a guy who can play wing or center. You have a guy that scored 29 goals with this team. Knee injury aside, which is a serious problem. I think that the way the offseason went, I thought they got a little gun shy on changing their team. I think they rested on their laurels a little bit. They could have moved Holden. They could have moved Reeves. They could have moved Eakin. They could have even gone as far as moving Stastny. There were ways to change the team to keep some other pieces to make it a more balanced team, and they opted to say we're good enough as we are, and we're going to find out if they are. I hope they are.
Kind of top heavy with no superstar.
Mark Stone's a superstar.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'd give that to Stone.
I think Mark Stone's a top 10 player in the NHL.
Okay.
Like, I think he's an unbelievably underrated. Like, he's one of the best, if not the best defensive player forward for sure. I think he might be one of the best defensive players just considering just what you have to do on the ice. He's gonna score a bunch of goals. He's gonna set up a bunch of goals. He's gonna make the power play worlds better. He's a superstar. But beyond that, it's fair.
Yeah. You think so?
I think Carlson is a very good player. I think Marshall is a very good player. Pacioretty, I think, used to be a superstar. He's now becoming kind of the sniper on the side, where it's like you put him with good players and set him up, he's going to score. But if he plays with bums, he's going to be a bum himself. And then the third line do with Eakin. We'll see what Glass ends up being. Peary, Zikoff, I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't like the fourth line at all. I don't like playing Carrier and Reeves together. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me, and I think it's going to get worse.
That fourth line literally gives you nothing.
It does absolutely nothing. And now it's even worse that you don't have a center.
I feel like that fourth line's a better line if we're talking about 1990s hockey.
Correct.
If enforcers are still, goons are still a big thing. 100%. That Reeves Carrier line is fantastic at, knocking people off the puck, hitting people,
creating havoc that you don't necessarily need.
And nowadays, that's not necessarily what hockey is. I think the idea of, like you said, getting rid of Reeves, I almost feel like Vegas in the front office doesn't want to do that strictly because Reeves has become such a social figure in this town now. Out of all the players, I would say he's probably the fucking biggest.
He is. 100% he is. I mean, maybe Fleury. If Fleury were to put himself out there like Reeves puts himself out there, Fleury would be as popular, if not more. I don't necessarily think it comes down to the marketing aspect of Reeves. I think they honestly believe that they need a player like him. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me, but Gallant will not sit the guy. He plays every single game.
What was his plus-minus last year?
That's the middle. I think he was probably a minus a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, just so you guys know, on dailyfaceoff.com, he was ranked 94th of all the right wings.
94th of all right wings in the league, or 94th of all right wings in the league is not terrible, I guess.
Yeah, that's surprising. I didn't think. But he also set career records last year for goals and assists, correct?
Which isn't going to happen again.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he matches those numbers.
Yeah, he got power play time last year, which, assuming health, that better not happen. Granted, here we are, one day before the start of the season, and two of the players are already out.
So I heard there's rumblings that he may still be playing. The door's not closed.
I would doubt it. I would take the no.
And how long is Tuck out for?
They say week to week.
We never truly know.
It's hard to say. I mean, from what it looks like, it's some sort of arm or shoulder or something of that sort, collarbone.
They need to do the classic stick.
Exactly, the Mighty Ducks thing. I would say, I'd say give him a month or so. I mean, hopefully it's not worse than that.
Well, and you like to think that this is a playoff team, right? Like they shouldn't be in a rush to bring it back, right?
The issue is not missing one; it's the next one.
Yeah,
it's here we are before they even start the 82 game season. It's what if Carlson gets hurt tomorrow? Then what?
Well, yeah, they're already two right.
Two down.
Two down.
Two of your top
These are guys
nine.
that have been playing over the last 2 years. They've been serious pieces to this team.
So it sounds like best case scenario is Cody Glass. Like I would say, the one thing that he's really good at right now is at least facilitating the puck, which is why I think he'll be really good on that second line with Patches and Stone. And he's their play and their ability to score is gonna raise his ability to facilitate. We really need to hope that he becomes good enough at creating offensive chances and facilitating that he could then, bring up the game of the guys around him. That's what it sounds like.
He's not there yet.
It's just the perfect situation for the
He's 20 right now. The other guys need to do that for him initially.
Well, the hope is that the other guys do that for him initially, and then by the time that everybody gets healthy, which that would be nice if that would actually happen.
Then you could
that never happened last year, the entire year. Then you slot him down on the third line. You're playing him with either Zekov or Peary as well as Tuck. And now you might actually have a third line that's usable, where, to me, Eakin being the center, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for a line that's going to defend.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily like that as a third line, especially on a team that we're going to need some scoring.
So what are your feelings then about Colin Miller? How did you feel like he's fit into the team and hit with his whole situation this offseason? And
I thought the moment, and you could have asked me this last year, the moment I heard he wasn't mentally prepared to play in game one, I knew he was gone. Like, they benched him in game one of the playoffs, and then the reason was, and Gallant gave something along the lines of like, we were disappointed with his mental preparation or something. I'm like, okay, well, this guy's not on the Golden Knights anymore. And that's exactly what ended up happening. I don't think it's all that big a deal down the road. I think in the first 2 months it may, but they have so many rookie options that somebody's going to figure it out. I like Dylan Coughlin the most. They disagreed with me and decided to get rid of him fairly quickly down to the AHL. Haig went down today. Schultz ends up being the one that survives. I don't think that's necessarily because he's the best one. But the point is, there's 5 guys to fill that role. If somebody can't fill that role, there's a bigger problem than that. And I think they'll figure that out.
Now, is it true that the biggest knock on Colin was the penalty minutes that he would seem to accumulate over the course of how many minutes he was playing in a game?
Combination of that and inability to figure out how to defend people. He also got lazy at times. There would be times, and of all the times I've watched the Golden Knights, he's one of the only guys that I can literally stop the tape, watch a shift of his, and say, I don't think he's trying this shift. He's one of the only guys I can ever say that I've actually seen it on the tape. And I think that goes a long way in Gallant, where it's like,
and that's really crazy because he showed a lot of fire and potential.
He can.
Yeah, like he
when he's engaged, he's good. Yeah, but he wasn't always.
How do you get to game one of the playoffs and then check out? How is that even a thing?
It shouldn't be.
My thought is it's got to be something else. Like, he probably stayed out too late, or he missed a team meeting, or he was late for the bus or some shit. I don't know. You can take whatever guess you want to take.
Some stupid team conduct rule.
Exactly. Something happened, because you can call mental preparation anything. Eat a banana when you're supposed to have a cucumber or some shit.
Hockey doesn't disclose exactly what's
exactly.
The issue.
So, but once that happens, and then they put in Holden, they get waxed in that game, and then the rest of the series they go back to Miller. Clearly, that was more than just a decision of like, oh, I like this player better today.
Yeah,
Something else.
They knew that Holden wasn't better than him.
And now here we go into the season, and Nick Holden's back in the lineup.
Lovely. And I gotta say, to the guy I feel is almost exactly the same for how you like kind of represent Miller. I've always felt the same way about Shea Theodore too. I've never been high on Shea Theodore, and I really think that Theodore is probably, I don't want to say the main reason because there was a lot of reasons, but the reason we lost that Stanley Cup year one,
he was bad,
was Shea Theodore.
I think it was.
And I'm surprised he's still on the team. I'm mad that he's still on the team. Like, I don't like Shea Theodore, and I don't think he's very good.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I think he's the second best defenseman on the team and has a legitimate shot at being the best defenseman on the team this year. He's probably going to overtake Schmidt at some point.
How old is he?
22.
No, so a lot of young mistakes then?
He's the thing about him is he's the new age defenseman. He's an unbelievable skater, and he creates offense for you. And I think a lot of times you may not necessarily notice how quickly he's getting the puck out of their zone. He's unbelievably good. You can't dump the puck in the zone on him. If he's on the ice and you dump it, you're done. It's the Golden Knights puck's going out and it's back in the neutral zone before you know it. That goes a long way, which that's the opposite with Derek England. Derek England, you dump it in and you'll beat him to the puck. But then he takes it away from you.
Yeah.
So to me, I still think Shea's got tremendous upside. I think he's a really, really good defenseman in the making. I don't think he's ever going to take that step into being like the elite. I don't think he's ever going to be a guy where we're going to be having Norris Trophy conversations about, but I think he's a pretty damn good defenseman.
Well, let's hope that he takes it a step then. Because, and I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like my hockey knowledge is anything of great, amazing.
Well, you're more advanced than we are.
Well, I mean, you're 100% right. He was miserable in the Stanley Cup final, and he would tell you that. He and Schmidt were an absolute nightmare for the entire series, and I still do not understand what happened. And
they played great all the way up to the Stanley Cup.
And then in Game 5, Gallant panicked and switched everything, and that was a disaster too. So, I mean, the whole thing, I just think they ran into a buzzsaw in the final, and it sucks, but the story shouldn't end like that, but the other story was pretty damn good too.
I mean, everything that led up to it was pretty
What were they supposed to do? These guys were 22 years old. They're going against Ovechkin.
Good.
I mean, what are you supposed to do?
Still should be more competitive than they were.
Yeah. For how much fun it was to watch that entire season and everything leading up to that Stanley Cup, man, it was such a letdown.
It was rough.
Especially after Game 1 too.
It was
rough. They came out and they played well in Game 1.
I actually thought they played like shit in Game 1. Washington played shittier. I just thought it was a nightmare of a game, which is funny because you get all pumped up like, oh, Stanley Cup final, like here we go, this is the best game ever. It's
actually the most agonizing
You watch it was a nightmare. It was a disaster. And the game two was a fairly well played game, and then the fucking Holtby save.
Yeah.
Dude dives back and knocks it out with a stick. Like, that doesn't happen. They might win the cup. I don't know. But onward and upward.
We're going to get through like 30 years and the hashtag's still going to be Cup in 30.
Yeah, well, no. I gave that up in year 2. I'm like, we're not doing that anymore. I haven't come up with something for year 3 yet. No. People keep telling me to move on from the call last year. Like, I'm not going to do that.
I can't.
Like, that's forever with this franchise. Like, teams have it. There's Tuck rule. There's Buckner, the Babe Ruth curse or whatever.
So what are they calling that?
I call it not a major. That's our hashtag for it. It's just not a major.
That's a great hashtag.
I mean, it's...
Because it wasn't a fucking major.
Of course not. And they changed a rule to admit that. It's just frustrating. But it's like everybody wants to kind of move on from it where, let's be honest, if it's 3-0 tomorrow, what's everyone going to think about?
Hopefully we don't have a major called against
us. Don't do that shit again.
Yeah, let's make sure we don't do what's happened on every single face-off this entire season. And hopefully no one gets fucking...
That's forever. They will literally, no joke, they will never have a 3-0 lead again that you'll be like, we're good.
That hurts.
It won't happen. Which sucks, but it's true.
And I went up, man.
I'm still speechless about it.
I was ready to go upstairs. What was it, 8 minutes left? 12? No. I was ready to go upstairs. I was like, oh, dude, I got this shit in the bag. We're going to go back upstairs.
They were killing him.
Next thing you know, he's bleeding.
And then that fucking major happens.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a major.
Hashtag not our major. Exactly. What other questions do you have from your associates?
Oh, my associates?
Because we only got one in.
Yeah, no, that was one question.
No,
No,
that
was great stuff. I loved every minute of it.
I tend to do that.
That's all good.
Our podcasts end up being 4 hours long.
As long as somebody's there to watch it or listen to it, that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
Some people bitch about it.
The one that I wasn't supposed to bring it up, but I'm gonna, and I'm not gonna name by name, but
I love these.
There was a tweet apparently by you. I don't know how recent it was, but you were putting George McPhee on blast. I don't know if you remember the exact tweet, but apparently you said George McPhee is the worst GM in the entire league, and
I don't think I said that.
I don't know the tweet. It
Interesting.
Was something bad about George McPhee.
I'm sure I said bad.
Was it the terrible?
Maybe
it was the terrible tweet.
Just what are your? So I guess the best way to ask the question is, what is your feelings about George McPhee? Do you really dislike him?
No, I mean I think they've done a pretty damn good job up to this point, but I do think there is something to be said about the history of George McPhee and what he's done over the course of his career, and that is create playoff teams that don't win. And so here we are with one of those.
So he's the Andy Reid of the NHL.
He's the George McPhee of the NHL. Like the Capitals, year after year after year, and he got there his very first year as the Capitals general manager. They went to the Stanley Cup final and lost. Then after a few years of making the playoffs, they realized that, okay, the salary cap's coming. we're going to rip down our team and restart before the salary cap. They did it. They came out of the salary cap. They got Ovechkin. They didn't miss the playoffs from there on. And every single year, something would happen. They blamed it on can't beat the Penguins. They blamed it on not being able to beat the Rangers. They blamed it on Ovechkin's doesn't have the ability to win.
He's too worried about driving 120 on the
exactly,
freeway.
whatever it was. I think, and hopefully this is not the case, but I think a lot of that has to do with the way that George McPhee general manages a team. I think his idea is constantly to try to keep your team in the mix, and I don't think he's willing to ever stick his foot in the ground and say, this is the year we're winning. Like if you look at what Columbus did last year, so I don't give a shit if the goalie's walking, Panarin's walking, we're going to trade first round picks for guys that are going to leave at the end of the year. I don't care. We're going to win right now. Didn't work, but at least they gave it an effort. They did beat Tampa, so they put themselves in a position to do it. It became the 1 seed after one round. I think that when you look at this offseason, they had a situation where they could have made a real stance. They could have really gone for it, whether that means keeping Gusev or keeping Haula or even trading those guys for something other than draft picks. Find me 21-year-olds that can possibly play this year. Find me flyers that can possibly turn into something better, reclamation projects, whatever. They're not really doing that. They're continuously kicking the can down the road to be good. They're going to be good for a long, long time. The question is it ever going to fall for them? Are they the best team in hockey? I don't know. I think they're right there, but are they the absolute best team in hockey? I don't know. And I think they could have been.
You know what this almost sounds like to me? It's almost like Moneyball.
It's correct, yeah.
It's like, it's the Billy Bean method. It's we're going to do things a little bit differently to make sure that the team is always good and we're always going to be in the running. But as it states in the movie, as it is in the book, and as it's been in real life for the A's, is they don't win the big game because they don't have the player to do. They don't have the superstar. They don't have that one person that's going to change the game.
And hopefully Mark Stone is that person and they have that situation. But I'll still go back to it. This offseason, all they did, like they got rid of Eric Haula, Colin Miller, Nikita Gusev, and what did they get back that's usable in 2019-20? Nicholas Waugh. A maybe fourth line center that's going to be a healthy scratch in game one. Actually got sent to the AHL today. That's not trying to win this year.
It's not a good return on your pieces.
Yeah, it's not. And that's not even fair though. They got a couple of second round picks. They got actually fine return on their picks. I didn't like what they got back for Gusev, but cast that aside.
But they didn't get anything for now.
They didn't get anything to help them win now.
Yeah.
And that's my issue.
And it goes back to what you're saying between there's going to be that gap then over the next. We're going to be good for the next couple of years.
But they didn't even fill the gap. That's my problem. So my thought would have been find me 21-year-olds.
Find guys that are going to be ready right there.
They're not in the gap.
Draft picks.
They went draft picks. So they got a 2022 draft pick. Well, that kid's playing in 2027.
That kid's 16 right now.
Yeah, great.
So is it poetic justice then that the Washington Capitals ended up winning the Stanley Cup in George McPhee's first year with the Knights?
Well, I mean, a lot of what happened. You look at what made the huge difference. TJ Oshie made a big difference. They re-signed John Carlson, which made a big difference. I think there were some things that happened that he may not have done. Lars Eller was one. I don't know that they would have ever put Lars Eller in that situation. He may have done it differently. I don't know. Maybe they do win with him, and maybe year 19 he does win, and maybe I'm going crazy about it. But to me, I think this was a year that you could have looked at your roster and said, this team can win. This team is going to win the Stanley Cup right now. Damn the future. I don't care. Let's make it happen right now. And I don't think they did it.
Well, is it too late for them to do it?
Probably.
Is there going to be somebody available come, mid-season that we could trade for, possibly bring in?
I just don't know where the cap space is coming from. Like, you're already pushed up against the cap.
And
I don't know where the cap space is coming from.
They didn't get as much of a reprieve as we thought either.
Well, part of winning, and this is any salary cap league, is winning on guys that perform higher than what they're paid. Brandon Peary has the ability to possibly do that.
And then selling on them before you pay them.
Correct.
Exactly. It's
we haven't done that with anybody.
That was Gusev. Gusev was the guy that had the ability to possibly be way better than what he was paid. Haula had the ability to do that. Haula is paid less than $3 million. Gusev's now making $4.5. It's got to be a 45, 50 goal player or point player to do that. I think he's going to score 65 to 70. And I think that's going to be a heck of a third line winger if he would have been on this team. It didn't happen. That's why I have an issue with George McPhee's offseason.
I've got a two-part question for you.
Okay.
Do you foresee there being any further NHL expansion, and if so, will it be set up as easily as it was for the Knights for this future team to succeed?
Seattle has been approved. Yeah, Seattle's been approved. They're coming in not this offseason, but the following offseason. So they got a ways out still. They'll get their name and everything there. They're doing the expansion draft the exact same way.
We're excluded from it.
We
don't
are
have to give players
exempt.
up.
That's correct.
We paid an extra. We paid for that, right?
Well, Foley did. I didn't.
Yeah.
Which is good because I wouldn't have paid for it. Fuck it, get rid of the player. I don't care. But I think that what you're going to see in that expansion draft is you're going to see a team that's competitive. I think they have the ability to be competitive. They can put a team out on the ice that's not horrible. The days of the expansion team being garbage are over.
In hockey?
Any sport. I think any sport that launches an
They're
expansion
follow the
draft,
same
you've
kind of
got
model.
it. Because look at what happened. And it doesn't make any sense. When you just go back to just the general idea of what you're trying to do, which is get a new market into this game. We're trying to take a market that's never had this, that doesn't have fans, and we're trying to make them love the sport. What's the worst thing that can happen in sports? Your team is shit.
Yeah.
Why would you give that to them? It doesn't make any sense. Now, were they supposed to go to the Stanley Cup final? Of course not.
They probably weren't even supposed to make the playoffs.
That was an accident.
Yeah.
But, and I don't think that's happening for Seattle, but I think they're going to be halfway decent, and I think they're going to get
They're going to win
really
some,
good
so they'll
goalie.
win some games. They'll
Yeah,
be
it wouldn't
a fun
shock
team
me if
to
they
watch.
get Carey Price or Jonathan Quick. Like,
They got Jonathan Quick. That'd be a great.
Yeah, I think they're going to get a good goalie. Carey Price would be unbelievable. But
It's a good place to start. It's where we started.
Yeah.
correct, that's exactly where they go.
The fact that I can think you could almost base the entire Knights' success off of the sheer fact that we got Marc-Andre Fleury.
That's a good part of it. I think as much of that is there were a
They
lot
did a
of
great
teams.
job
There were a lot of
putting
teams
it
that
together.
panicked. There were teams like
The Panthers.
the Ducks gave up Shea Theodore, but they didn't have to. Panthers,
They
I
super
don't
paid.
know
They
what the hell they did.
Over
And Smith.
And Riley Smith.
Yeah,
both.
they,
Has two first-liners now.
Columbus gave up a first-round pick and William Karlsson. Minnesota decided, well, yeah, you can have Alex Tuck. Yeah, you might as well take Halla too. There's your top six, like right there.
Yeah.
It's teams like Washington, where the Golden Knights went in and just picked Nate Schmidt. LA, they went in and they picked Braden McNabb. If you look at how that happened, there were players in there that were acceptable that could make you a halfway decent team. That's why I think Seattle will be fine.
Well, it's great that we don't have to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's fantastic because it would be, at this point, it would be like Tuck, Riley Smith maybe like it would be
Stasny.
McNabb possibly. I think Stastny might be protected, but I mean, you're talking about your first guy out of your top six or your first guy, your fourth defenseman. Like, you're losing somebody good.
Yeah.
So it's definitely fortunate that they're not doing that.
That's gonna be fun that there's another franchise now.
Expansion draft will be fun, yeah.
Yeah. It'd be nice. I wish all the damn leagues would just expand already. I know baseball's been talking about it for a while, but expansion's fun, man.
Well, the
Put your team in a new place.
they just sold the Rio, so I think that might be coming down for a baseball stadium.
That'd be awesome.
I'll believe it when I see
But
it.
yeah, I'm not gonna hold my breath on it. That'd be real stupid for the entire for us to build that new stadium for a AAA team and then just to bring in a new MLB team.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
But I hope so. It'd be fucking amazing.
Baseball's the hardest because there's 81 games that you have to fill.
It's
Yeah.
hot. Like you said.
It'd have to be a
They'd have to
dome.
play 8:30 games or something like
Yeah,
that.
it has to be a dome. You have to build it like what they're doing with the Raiders. You gotta build them a dome. You have to.
How many teams
Baseball's
actually play with
stupid in a dome.
Yeah. It's just
I don't need baseball. I'm good. I don't need the Raiders.
So we got what else? You got any other questions? Anything else to hit Golden Knights wise? What are your bold predictions for this season?
All right, so we'll start with Jonathan Marchessault will lead the team in goals. I just gave this one on the VGK Insider Show. He's actually fourth in the Vegas odds of leading goals, behind Pacioretty, Stone, and I think Carlson might be above him. Maybe he might be third. But I think he's going to lead in goals because I think eventually Mark Stone's going to play on that line. I think they're eventually going to go to Marchessault, Carlson, Stone, and once that happens, Marchessault's going to go nuts. I think he's going to be pushing 40, if not closer to 45.
Oof, that'd be
So I think
sweet.
he's going to have a monster year. A sad prediction is I don't think they're going to be healthy at any point. So like what you're going to already start to see is you're going to be like, well, what happens when Eakin and Tuck get back? Well, then where does Don't worry about it. It's not going to happen.
because they're going to have to mask something else.
I think they're going to score quite a bit more than they did last year. I'll say at least 20 goals more than they scored last year, which would be terrific and would make them a much better team. I think Marc-Andre Fleury will still play a lot of games, but I think Subban's going to play a lot better, and I think hopefully he plays enough that people will shut the hell up about it.
I don't get the hate on Subban.
Why do people think he's so bad? Because anytime I see him playing for a goal,
he had a couple bad games last year.
For a second goalie.
I think the main thing is like Oscar Dance was good for 3 games, so everyone's like, he must be better. Like I don't get it.
People forget that Subban came in when Fleury went down year 1 and was fantastic.
He was good. Yeah, he was good. Like Legacy did fine in the time. Like to me, backup goalie is like a backup quarterback. Like yeah, you got to have him, but if we're going to our backup goalie, we're probably in trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
So what does it matter?
You don't want to go to your backup goalie.
So what is it? And really,
he's beyond serviceable for backup.
Correct. And really, to me, I like him as that option because if you were to tell me, so let's use a football reference. If you were to tell me your backup quarterback is Blaine Gabbert, I'm like, I'm good. We're not going to win with Blaine Gabbert. But if you tell me it's Jacoby Brissett before he started playing, you're like, well, he might be okay.
Yeah. I mean, how many backups?
Gardner Minshew is a good example. Like all of a sudden,
on the board, baby.
But my point is that all of a sudden that guy gets in there, and it's not guaranteed that he's going to be shit. Look at the Bears. Chase Daniel, he's not good. We know. I went to Missouri. He's not good. He's going to be fine.
He's serviceable.
He's fine. And what he can do is get you some wins until hopefully your quarterback gets back. Exactly. I'm not a Trubisky fan, but if he were to be good enough, that's fine. But like Subban to me is the unknown commodity backup. He's perfectly fine as a backup. He might actually be slightly below average as a backup. But in the event that something were to happen to Fleury and they need to win a Stanley Cup with Malcolm Subban, I think they've got a better shot of doing it with him than if they were to go with like a Garrett Sparks. I think it's just or even more so, like an even more serviceable veteran. If they were to go down that road, which Calvin Pickard would be a good example, he's not going to be that much better.
I mean, how many backups in any sport have a chant in their stadium for him?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, when Sub makes a great play, everybody says Sub. I mean, how many teams got that for a backup?
How many people yell Sub and then tweet me how much they hate Sub?
All of them?
All of them? Like,
see, I'd go one further.
You all suck.
I'm not a huge hockey player guy, but I would say that Subban could probably play goalie on. From what I've seen, he could probably be a starter on some teams.
Maybe a few.
I
definitely think it'd be a battle. Like, I don't think
we should trade him.
I don't think he'd get handed the job anywhere. I think it'd be a battle. Like he's not the starter here. Like there's no doubt about that. Fleury's better.
Yeah, but that's still Fleury.
But Fleury's still top 5.
But I think that giving him up for nothing, like a lot of people want to do, doesn't make any sense. Or even just not giving him the chance. Like a lot of people are like, you got to find a backup. Like, I don't think so.
He is the backup.
I think he's a good option.
I'm curious what his overall record is in games that he started.
He's like 500. He was real good the first year, and he was a nightmare last year.
But he was pretty good on the road last year, if I remember correctly. Wasn't his road record really good?
Awful everywhere.
Was it?
Yeah, he was not good. They put him in bad situations, though. They constantly played him on back-to-backs. It was no good. Oh, well.
That's what he's there for, though. Literally, that's
to
what
me,
he's there for.
He's an option if the worst thing would be to happen. I don't think your season's over with Malcolm Subban. I think it would be if you had a run-of-the-mill backup goalie that would get you more wins than Malcolm Subban would as the backup goalie, but once he takes over the main job, he's...
That's fair, and I'm cool with that as my backup.
Wow. Same.
Well, shit, boys.
Let's talk about NFL now.
Yeah, a little week 4 recap.
Sure.
So, some of the big storylines.
Ravens lost.
Bucks win.
Rams lost.
I don't care about that. Bucks win. Don't care who they beat. They're 2-2. We're not eliminated yet. I'm pumped.
So let's start there. We'll get to the Cleveland Ravens thing. As a Bucks fan,
I'm pumped.
You're pumped. So how do you guys? Do you feel like this? Like, I feel like a lot of Bucks fans came in thinking that this season was going to be a wash, throw it away.
Well, that's every season.
I guess that's just the life of a Bucks fan.
Just stink.
But
so where do you feel like you're at now?
Yeah, you see Drew
stink,
Brees going down. You see Atlanta in turmoil.
Atlanta sucks.
You got to think that you guys might be able to make a run at the division this year.
I still see
Cam is down.
34-yard field goal that you probably should have scored. I saw 50 points or 40 points that they gave up to the Rams. They gave up a butt ton of points to whoever the hell the quarterback is for the Giants nowadays.
Jones.
Yeah, he's a bum. Well, he might be good years from now.
Daniel motherfucking
Come on,
Dimes. Danny
first game.
Dimes.
So I don't know. I'm a Bucks fan. Just play just play games that matter for as long as possible. That's all my expectation is. It's bad.
I mean, for the most part, I mean, you could argue that you should be 3-1.
No, but they're not.
Yeah, they're not.
You could argue they should have won a playoff
stupid
game in
move
the
by
last
Bruce
decade.
Arians in that New York game. It was a
Yeah,
real dumb move by Arians.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But I mean, they played great against the Rams. Like, they were the better team. You don't say that about the Bucks too often. Like, sometimes they will win games and it's an even game. They were the better team than the Rams. Like, there's no question. And Shaq Barrett is out of this world.
how many sacks did he have?
He's like on pace.
He's got 9.
For like,
He's got 9. Yeah.
was that through 4? So
Tied the NFL record with 9, yeah.
so
It's
he's on
insane.
pace for
Like,
36.
Yeah.
That would obliterate the record.
It would.
yeah. And not only that, but he has an interception. He's caused a couple of fumbles. He created another interception. Like, the dude's a monster, and I don't understand it because he's on the Bucks. Like, he shouldn't be good.
He's a little undersized, I think, too, for the
He is
defensive
very,
end. He's, dude,
What?
Dwight Freeney.
That's who. Oh, you're comparing him to Dwight Freeney?
Yeah, he reminds me of Dwight
I
Freeney.
mean, I guess I could say that Dwight Freeney was undersized, but he was very good.
Did they line Dwight Freeney up all over the place?
No.
No,
Because this guy's everywhere.
he pretty much sat at defensive end.
Put him in the middle, you put him on the left side, right side, he comes and blitzes, he's all over the place, and you never know where you're going to find him. He's awesome. I'm stunned he's this good. Because he has 9 sacks and the Broncos had 0 through 3 games.
Which is very surprising.
Which is where he came from. Oops.
Yeah.
Well, he couldn't get on the field.
It's usually backwards.
they
Usually
should-
the Bucks let the guy go. And
They
they're
should.
good.
They should be able. They could use him now with Bradley Chubb going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a killer for the Broncos. But I mean, I feel like they're going to be on the tank for Tua train here very soon.
They were stuck in the mud, anyways. Let's be real.
They need a quarterback. I think that they got a lot of good pieces around, but Joe Flacco's not at 35 years old. Joe Flacco's not the answer.
Why did you lead with the Ravens losing? Do people think they're good?
I think a lot of people did, and I've
Am I
been saying
missing
for a while
something?
that I thought that they were still overrated.
The quarterback's not good.
No, I think
Don't
that
disagree with that.
it's kind of crazy that they lost to the Browns, who are
I feel like
kind of
yeah.
overrated as well.
Here, that was the thing. That was the whole thing.
That's why. So the Ravens going into last week were kind of just looked at and gauged as like they're the Ravens, they're a power team, and for them to just kind of lay an egg against the Browns, it was just like didn't seem right. Something was off.
This team that was supposed to be really good coming to this season, being the Browns, everybody had these high hopes. Oh, Cleveland's going to do great things. I mean, even I got a text from Sacha the other day about the Browns. I'm like, I still don't see them being any better than 2-6,
They're okay.
3-7
They'll be better than
here.
that.
You know, they still got 5 tough games coming up.
They're a 500 team. They're fine. They're not great. They're not horrible.
I'm not on that train yet, and that's why this win was so surprising because
Fair.
so many people were big on the Ravens. Oh, look at Lamar Jackson, this Ravens team coming out just the highest scoring team in the league, and all of a sudden they take a shit.
First 3 weeks, I expected the Ravens to totally just run
But who have the Ravens
all
played?
over.
The Dolphins and who they play week 1?
That was the Dolphins.
There
They
was-
played the Cardinals.
Cardinals
I
is
think in
week
2 or
2.
3.
Dolphins was week 1, and then
Like right there, I don't even care who they played in their other game. Like you're not what your record says you are. You had a bye week in the first week when you play the Dolphins. Like that doesn't even count.
But I think that we had kind of already put the Browns in the basement at the same time.
That's
So
fair.
it's kind of a shock for a team that we're looking at as like rolling over these basement teams to just get dismantled by a 500
At home, right?
at home
No.
to a Baker Mayfield led circus.
Without Odell Beckham doing anything.
One for
now,
3 or
and
something.
that's a point that I wanted to make because I don't remember if I made that point on the show. I talk a lot of sports all the time in a lot of different places, so I forget where I bring things up. But I wasn't on the show where I said that I feel like Baker Mayfield is trying to force the ball too much to OBJ.
Yeah, you did say that.
And
But he didn't-
who
he didn't-
led the team in targets last week versus the Ravens?
Did Odell?
No, it was Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, Landry.
Right, so he basically didn't force it.
And they
Odell.
won.
Exactly, and they won. I think that was my biggest thing with why the Browns were not having success was because it just seemed like Mayfield was trying to keep OBJ happy by forcing him the ball rather than taking the smart option. You have Jarvis Landry. He's not much worse than Odell Beckham Jr. Now, I get it. OBJ is a once-in-a-lifetime type of superstar.
Jarvis Landry is a poor man's Odell Beckham.
I mean,
Anyways, continue
yes.
with what you're saying.
I'm just saying that I think they won the game, and they played a much better game because Mayfield was spreading the ball around. He was finding other targets. He wasn't forcing things. It looked like he was comfortable finally. And Nick Chubb running for like 185 yards.
When's he gonna run himself out of your hatred cellar?
Who?
Nick Chubb.
I don't hate Nick Chubb.
Oh.
I was never.
Oh, that's you.
Everybody was a full Chubb after that game.
Yeah. How much longer?
When we get a fucking time machine, they go back and win the Natty.
So he's
This is college football problem.
fucking stuck in the.
The answer's
Giving
no.
it to Sony Michel.
That's my thing. Is I've always thought that Sony Michel was better than Nick Chubb. Just a little breaking news here for any baseball fans out there: the Nationals just took the lead in the bottom of the 8th, 4-3. So
Is Strasburg still in?
I do not know if he is still. It looks like he is still pitching. Yes. So just a little thing there, but Ravens probably not as good as people thought. Browns,
Maybe just
I don't
a
think they're as
little-
good as people think they are because of the win.
Better? Like a little bit better.
They're all right.
I thought.
I think they're okay. I think the Browns are a 500 team.
So
if the ball bounces right, they could be in the playoffs.
Who's winning that division today?
Still probably the Ravens.
Yeah. You see what's happening? Do you see what is happening? You see what is happening?
You
I
said
know.
it.
I told
And
you.
you know where my mind's
I
going.
told you.
I didn't disagree
What
with
did
you.
you say?
Just that I didn't necessarily think it was out of the realm of possibility that the Pittsburgh
The Steelers
Steelers
come
were
back.
going to actually win this division.
Yeah, no.
I didn't. Did I disagree with you on that day necessarily?
You saw my train of thought. That's
I'll
all.
disagree with you.
And I'm sitting here right now thinking, when you asked that question, I'm like,
Did you watch
Steelers
that
don't
game
look like a
last
bad
night?
option.
I mean, we certainly don't have to worry about the Bengals
Well, the
winning
Bengals
that
are-
division.
Bengals.
The Bengals are a disaster, but the way that Steelers offense was run,
And no,
that's not a division-winning team.
But they have a
didn't
pretty damn good
watch
defense.
that. I
All
didn't
these
watch
pop,
that.
there's little pop passes, and after the first half, they said on the broadcast that, what's his name? I can't remember the quarterback's name.
Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph. His average yardage thrown downfield per pass in the first half was 2.1 yards.
That's terrible.
It's
You
bad.
cannot win doing that long term. You can beat the Bengals at home on Monday night, sure, but you're not winning your division doing that. They're 1-3 for a reason. They belong. They deserve that. And I think it's gonna get worse. I think they're terrible.
I still think it's the Ravens, but I think
You
your
just
train of thought
see-
is
you
good,
see-
but I could see it.
You see
I'm
it.
not disagreeing with that at all. So
I'd still probably give it to the Ravens too, but we were just touching on how the
Fair.
Steelers.
0-3 team has a chance. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they were one game out of like the 7th spot or something, being 0-3. So just like the AFC in general is kind of a.
the AFC is I
Just kind
feel
of
like
horrible.
it's pretty trash
Been
outside of
that way
uh,
for years. It's like
Yeah.
are the Patriots or Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
Peyton Manning left, and all
there
of a
we go
sudden,
again.
All right, so just let's see.
Is it that time
Oh,
since you wanted to put this on the board?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
Just say what you got.
I kind of wanted to just get the Cowboys out of the way right here.
You want to get the Cowboys out of the way?
Yeah.
So for 3 weeks, for the first 3 weeks, I said that I'm not going to give Dak any respect until he plays a team that's worth a damn because he had played nobody. They play a team that's worth a damn, and Dak Prescott sucked ass.
Yep. I mean, all I said was that in watching those first 3 weeks that he had done exactly what he's supposed to do about inferior competition, and it looks like he's throwing the ball with a little bit more of a purpose. Now, we saw that he wasn't able to fit the ball into the windows. His receivers didn't do him any favors.
No, there was a couple drops.
And
Zeke didn't have a good game.
Zeke still looked average.
Yeah.
And that's something I said last week. Zeke has looked average thus far, and
I think he averaged like 1.9 yards a carry.
still is in that game. He should have ran all over the place, but instead they put up 10 points against the Saints, and the Saints win without scoring a touchdown.
That's a brutal game for a Cowboys fan.
How can they sit there and like actually think that they're going to win the playoff or win the Super Bowl and not be able to beat the Saints who don't score a touchdown? It doesn't make sense with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. It's just I don't know. I'm dumbfounded by it. I don't.
And it goes back to me is that it's a Dak Prescott thing. Yeah, I
Sound
think
like
it is.
me watching a Bucks fan.
Dude.
Bucks game.
He's been I don't give him shit for being a Cowboys fan. He's been a disgruntled Cowboys fan for a while now, and
going on almost
you know,
2.5, 3 years now.
like
Finish that statement.
Yeah.
3.5 years doing what?
No, I've been disgruntled. I've been disgruntled as a Cowboys fan since they cut Dez. That's what was the cherry on the top for me.
My team hasn't been in the playoffs in 11 years and hasn't won a playoff game in 17.
Yeah.
We are not the same.
Is that good?
But I guess the Cowboys. When's the last time they won a playoff game?
Last
Or,
year.
I'm sorry, before last. Was it? Did they win one 2 years ago with Dak?
Yeah.
Before that, how long did they go?
Like
Did they
a
win
year-
one in the Romo
year
years?
Before that, yeah.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, we are not the same.
Correct.
Play Cooper Rush.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, exactly. They should
exactly.
just fucking play him.
That turned around quick.
I honestly don't even know who that is. Is that a quarterback?
It is.
Oh, wow.
It's just, man. I've been saying it. I watch Dak, and there's just so many fucking throws. People give Trubisky a lot of shit, and it's all worthwhile. But it's just there's just so many missed throws from Dak. Like, especially in that fourth. People love to give him like the fourth quarter comebacks because he's leading the NFL in that stat over the last couple of years. But it's like, is it because like he sucks and he always has to come back in the fourth quarter, and sometimes he's gotten lucky?
No, I think that's just the nature of playing quarterback for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
You always get everybody's best shot. And that's
Like your defense.
Something that Romo had to deal with. But dude,
Your defense, and I said this before, I thought the defense hasn't played up to their, the level that they should be. I thought that game was finally, you saw the Cowboys defense playing at the
really,
exact-
because it was Teddy Bridgewater, Dan.
They only scored 12 points. If your defense gives up 12 points, you should win the game.
Teddy Bridgewater. When was the last time he scored a touchdown? Like outside of the week before that, like last week. I mean, it's just like,
I'm not as down on Teddy Bridgewater as a lot of people are. Like, he was, I'm not saying that he was supposed to be this awesome all-pro, quarterback, but he did go to a Pro Bowl. Like,
he was a first round pick.
he was able to lead that offense. There's a lot of great weapons on that offense that aren't named Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, the defense played well. You gave up 12 points in New Orleans to a really good offense, minus the fact that Drew Brees is out.
I mean, they held Drew Brees to 13 points last year.
Yeah. I think the defense had their coming out party, and the offense completely spoiled it.
100%.
It's somber.
Just a little disappointing, man, because you think that like the guys finally turned the corner, but instead he just reverts back to all the same shit. Now they'll still be there at the end of the year. Like he's still going to play in all 16 games. I don't see him getting hurt like Trubisky.
Exactly.
They're still going to go fucking 11-5 or whatever the
probably
fuck.
still make the playoffs, and Dak's gonna have some more good games.
This all sounds terrible.
Don't forget.
And I
Teddy
wish they had a number one pick at quarterback, man. Give us Jameis. How good do you think they'd be?
They'd probably be better, but you don't want to be the Bucks. Don't
No, I
wish
don't.
that upon yourself.
I don't.
But like, don't forget Teddy Bridgewater. Also, this is his third year in Sean Payton's system, so he knows the playbook well.
Yeah, how many years is this with Dak in this system?
In this system, shouldn't it be his first? Because Kellen Moore's number is his first year.
Fourth, due to Scott Linehan. It's the Scott Linehan. It's Scott
Same
Linehan's-
playbook?
It's Kellen Moore came in because of Scott Linehan from Detroit. So 4 years. And you score 10 points against the Saints.
It's rough. It's rough.
With the best running back in the game. Allegedly.
And so if we're just going to continue the sorrowful,
Fucking
if we
horrible.
want to continue the sorrowful mood, which isn't as sorrowful for me, but it is.
It's almost
Trubisky.
worse. It's kind of worse.
Depends on your viewpoint on it. Trubisky went down, played number, I think, 6 in the Bears game.
They're drafting a quarterback this year.
Came out that he dislocated his left shoulder with a slight labrum tear. So the good thing is, it's not.
They are.
No, they're not.
They're
Yes,
not.
they are.
They're
How?
definitely not.
They're drafting a quarterback.
They
They
can't.
will not.
They can't.
They're not drafting a quarterback. But the good news about the Trubisky injury is
They're gonna.
it's his non-throwing shoulder. It's a slight labrum tear that doesn't require any surgery, and it's just a shoulder dislocation. He should be back relatively soon. I don't think, with Nagy's history, he's going to bring him back super fast. Like, he's definitely not playing in London this weekend. Then we go on to the bye. You might see him the week after that. You could see him a week after that. I don't
Is that
think
a good thing for him to come back?
That's why I said, going back to his
I
point.
think he's awful.
There's parts about him. He's the most infuriating quarterback.
It's not
I'd
good.
probably not name Dak Prescott. He's not bad either. There's a lot of quarterbacks I can name
I'll
that are
still
worse.
take Dak Prescott today over Mitch Trubisky.
And I
Well, today definitely, but
I would not, and I wouldn't take James
He's got
Winston
a
either.
torn labrum.
yeah, I would take Jameis over both of them.
I would
But again, that's
take-
heavily biased. I will fully admit. But just talent-wise, I think he's way more talented than both of them. Like, not even close. As a quarterback, he's not as good a runner as probably either of them. He's a way more talented quarterback. He's just an idiot.
I disagree. I think the arm talent is in Trubisky's corner much more than
Yeah,
it
no
is
way.
James Winston.
don't
Not a
see it.
chance.
Trubisky's his arm.
His arm should look like Daniel Jones, bro, and it doesn't. I haven't seen him throw the ball like nicely.
You didn't see that back shoulder fade 40 yards down the field off his back foot, running into the pocket, off balance to Taylor Gabriel.
The ball that he never should have thrown in the first place.
See, and that's what pissed me off about Trubisky. Is that if it's fucking Tom Brady that makes the throw, then everybody is like, oh my God, Tom Brady's amazing. This is the fucking greatest quarterback of all time. But if someone that you don't like makes a throw, it's a bad decision.
Well, how many rings does Tom Brady have?
He's got 6. I'm just using him as an example of the fucking inaccuracies of everybody's, fucking Trubisky.
Because you gotta earn it, Dan.
The issue with Trubisky.
No, you said it right. Trubisky.
The issue with him is he can't make throws between 8 and 15 yards. 8
Yeah,
to
it's
20
been his
yards.
problem. He
That's
overthrows
a
guys.
huge problem.
It definitely is.
That's
I don't
how
disagree.
you win. That's a major problem. He will hit guys that are 40 yards down the field, and he'll hit guys that are at the line of scrimmage. But if it's 3rd and 8, you're in trouble.
But Chase Daniel doesn't give you a better chance to win the game.
Chase Daniel doesn't give you any chance to win. I mean, he probably isn't going to lose it, which is fine.
Which is what we need right now, because the Bears' defense is the best defense.
But you're not winning the Super Bowl with either of them.
I'm telling you right now. Oh, the Bears' defense? You're talking about the quarterback.
The quarterback. Well, even with the Bears'
I'll tell
defense,
you right now, the
as
Bears'
it is,
defense can win a fucking Super Bowl.
Of course they can, but not with a quarterback like they have.
You telling me Trent Dilfer's better than Mitch Trubisky?
Different era.
It doesn't
Much
matter.
different era.
At the end of the day, defense wins championships.
Yeah, last week you compared, what's his name, Eddie Golson to Ed Reed, and then he made a...
Eddie Jackson.
Yeah, he made a super bonehead play in the game last week.
Eddie Jackson didn't deserve that fucking flag, bro.
When's the last team that had a not-so-good quarterback that won?
Brad Johnson.
Yeah, 2002.
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, and even that, that was his best year. He wasn't great, but that was his best year. Maybe the Peyton Manning year. Yeah. You have to have an elite quarterback to win, and the Bears don't have it. And to make matters worse, they traded up to pass on 2 that were better than him.
Just rub salt in the wound.
I've never understood the Trubisky thing. He doesn't look like a good quarterback to me. He looks like your classic decent. Not horrible, but decent.
And I'm fine with decent right now because there's a lot of quarterbacks that aren't decent in the league. And if he could ever...
Not that many.
Capitalize on the arm strength. Dude, come on. There's so many quarterbacks that are... You're telling me you'd rather have fucking Matt Ryan on your team right now? Because Matt Ryan looks like shit.
He looks like shit.
You'd rather have Cam Newton? You'd rather have Cam Newton?
No, but I might rather have... Who's the backup one for them? He's
Kyle Allen.
You'd rather have fucking Kyle Allen?
I'd probably rather have Trubisky than Kyle Allen, but... There's not that many. There's not that many.
Probably not Cam, though.
Would you rather have Ryan Fitzpatrick or Josh Rosen?
Wow, the Dolphins aren't a team. It's unrealistic.
To say, I could go through a list of all these fucking teams.
JD would also rather have the Redskins quarterback room.
It's not even close. Case Keenum, Dwayne
Haskins.
You think Matt Stafford would dominate as a Cowboy?
I'd take Stafford.
Regardless, the Bears are going to be fine. Defense looks amazing.
Kirk Cousins.
Well, the Bears are going to make the playoffs for sure. The Bears are a good team.
Over Trubisky, for sure.
The question is, are the Bears good enough to actually do anything once they get there?
And I think the answer to that question will be yes, because their defense will dominate.
I don't know about that.
Well, we'll see in 4 months.
I just don't know how they're going to run the ball. I still don't know.
Who, the Bears?
Yeah.
Oh, the offensive line looks
they got to put 8 in the box. I mean, they're already doing it. It's just...
No, I think Nagy's run game isn't.
If anybody that
I don't think he's got great decisions.
Too cute. They don't have anybody that can scare you. JD's looking at this board. Will you guys hurry the fuck up?
Yeah. Let's move on.
I just want to move on to the next thing. It's not that.
Let's just fucking move to week 5. Look ahead. No, fuck that. Let's just go to picks of the week.
How about right here?
The mood has been ruined.
How about this?
2 shitty.
Here's the guy I'd rather
we
have.
won't talk about a quarterback problem.
Here's somebody better than Trubisky right here.
Yeah, there's somebody that's better
Gardner
than
Minshew is the
Trubisky.
truth.
Gardner Minshew. You'd take him over Trubisky today.
Uncle Rico.
Probably would, just because he's awesome.
You can throw the football over those mountains over there.
Fucking right.
Quarter of a mile.
I mean, Gardner Minshew's look good. I don't think the Jack should have won that game.
I saw a good one today. DJ Shark is leading every single top tier number 1 receiver in stats.
It's been good.
All of them.
He's
except
good.
I think Mike Evans.
He's actually good. Well, Godwin's been better than Evans.
Yeah. They both been
Godwin's
good.
been terrific. I mean, Evans had one good game, and his
game.
second game was this last week was fairly good. Deep pass, but take the deep pass out, and he was pedestrian.
Yeah.
Without that, I think he was like 2 for.
Yeah, he wasn't
2 for 15 without the big.
Yeah,
play.
he wasn't great, but big play counts.
Leonard Fournette balled out.
225.
after a week in which his long run was 59 and he had a total of 56 or something of that sort.
It was 69, his total of 63.
That's unbelievable.
I got him in one of my fantasy leagues.
I actually
That
think
fucking run was huge.
I think Gurley was similar on that this last
Didn't
game.
Gurley only run the ball like 5 times this last game?
Well, why would you run against the Bucs? It'd be stupid. Just throw it every single play and you'll score 40 points.
And throw 3 fucking picks.
Well,
stop him.
That's why you want a pick of the week. Don't take the Bucs. They're only 3.5 point underdogs in.
That was my thought last
New
week,
Orleans.
and now I'm sitting at
Well,
home.
it's a little different.
Now I'm sitting at home on my couch.
We're gonna ruin the fucking mood
Right.
even more.
Oh, no.
I'd actually told you to take them +9. I thought they'd hang in there.
I just
in that game.
had, I
think
just
they
had the
would win.
Rams to win.
Well, they probably should have won that game. But this week, 3.5 points. I don't care. I don't care how good the Bucs looked
Fucking
offensively. I wouldn't.
30-3 over here.
What's that? The Rams? That
No,
was
he
supposed
had-
to be 30-3.
No, our picks of the week. I was undefeated. He only had 1 loss last week, and we both fucking lost because he had
How many do I have to pick?
just 1.
All right, I'll take the Saints.
What's this 30-3 crap?
That's what you said last week about the fucking because I said the Patriots probably gonna have a tough time playing on the road.
Is he now 31-3?
What?
Is he now 31-3?
Yeah.
What
Like I
cover?
said?
Just
Oh, I
just
thought that
record
was-
against the Buffalo
I
Bills.
thought you were. That was
Oh,
record versus.
no win.
I thought that was what you were saying for the score.
No, that's his record against that team.
He's very good against the Bills.
Fucking
All right,
guy.
give me some lines.
Let's see. We got Jaguars at Panthers -3.5. Cardinals at Bengals -3.5. Falcons at Texans -5. Bucks at Saints -3.5. Vikings
No,
at Giants.
that's not correct. It opened at 3.5. It's now 6.5.
Oh, it's
The
6.5? Okay, well now it's getting a little bit better.
The Saints is -6.5.
3.5's better. Or 3.5 was way better.
Oh! I'm reading this backwards. Open. Yeah, no, sorry. No,
Yeah, that would
it
make
opened
more
at 6.5.
sense.
It's 3.5 now.
Wait,
Sorry
it's
about
actually 3.5?
Yep.
People are betting on the
Saints
Bucks?
are -3.5.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Vikings are -5 at Giants.
Oh, I
Jets.
like that one.
Jets are in Philly. Philly's -14. Ravens are at Pittsburgh. Ravens -3.5.
Philly's 14-point favorites against
They
an
are.
NFL team that's not named the Dolphins. That's
They
a
are.
little much for me.
Bills are at Titans, and the Titans are -3. That line seems a little weird.
I like the Bills, yeah.
Is Allen
Patriots
out?
don't know yet.
that. He's probably going to be
Concussion
out.
protocol, right?
Does it matter?
Patriots are -15.5
little bit.
at the Redskins.
They were
Hammer
3
that.
now.
So
What was that one?
Said they were 3 now.
Patriots -15.5 at Washington.
They don't cover that many double-digit spreads on the road.
Washington's real bad.
They are bad, but they
and
don't.
I've been
they
saying
don't, they
Haskins
don't cover
isn't
those.
the answer, and Haskins certainly didn't look
That's
like
like
the
the
answer on
one
Sunday.
situation where you don't bet the Patriots is double digits on the road.
Then we got Broncos at Chargers. Chargers -6.5. Packers
I like
at
that
Cowboys. Cowboys -3.5. Finally, we have Indianapolis at Kansas City. Chiefs are -10.5.
That's a lot. Who are they playing again?
Who, the Chiefs?
Yeah.
The Colts.
Colts at
The
Kansas
Colts
City.
aren't very good.
And most likely no T.Y.
It makes it even worse. Yeah, that's.
Oh,
that's
and
not
I'm
good.
sorry, because my favorites is different. Bears are -4.5 at Oakland in London.
London.
They're -4.5.
Yeah, I like the Bears in
Yeah.
that game.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the
With
Bears.
no
in that
Trubisky?
game. Doesn't matter.
That defense is gonna.
He's worth a point to me. If you were to tell me he's playing and it's 5.5, I'm in.
The Bears went in. The Bears versus the best running game in the league, averaging 195 yards a game with 5 or 6 guys out. 3 of them starters on defense held the fucking Vikings and Dalvin Cook to 40 rush yards.
He did score though, didn't he?
Garbage time. It wasn't.
Oh, okay.
It was a
Something
Dalvin Cook
that
touchdown. It
you
was
guys-
garbage
Some
time.
fantasy points.
Something that you should be aware of, Dan, is that it opened at 6.
The Bears,
Yep.
and it's dropped to -4.5.
85% of the money's on the Bears,
Wow.
and it's down to 4.5. That is screaming take
That
the
is-
Raiders.
that is.
It is screaming take the Raiders.
And you know how much I give a shit about reverse line movement?
He loves it.
It's his favorite thing.
He
It's
loves
the
it.
only thing I look at, man.
I can give 2 fucks
What about
what they're
football?
doing with the line.
What about football? You don't care about the football?
Not when Dak Prescott scores 10 points against the Saints.
So who do you
Always
got?
Goes back.
Who's your pick?
Well, 6.5 now. I'll do that just so in case the Bucks win, I'll feel good about myself.
What is that? Wait.
I'm taking the Saints. The Bucks are going to lose.
It's 3.5, yeah.
Yeah, the Bucks are going to lose. Oh yeah, you're saying it opened at 6.5 and now it's 3. Oh yeah, for sure, take the Saints.
Oh, me? Packers plus 3.5.
Oh, God. You're going against your team, too?
Yeah, fuck them.
There you go. Take Oakland.
No, fuck that. I'm going Packers minus 4.5.
You're going to lose.
Fuck your reverse line movement and fuck all this against your own team bullshit.
I thought they were dogs, man. I thought you were going to say Bears money line.
If they were, I would have.
No, we're going to be like minus 2.
Taking a minus 4.5.
Oh, fuck.
Which leads us into our last segment, gentlemen.
Yep.
Today's biggest piece of shit of the week. Chris, Ken, go ahead.
I get to nominate a piece of shit.
No, you get this. I mean, if you want to nominate your own, feel free. You can say the
I
one
just
on the
get
board.
to read the one on the board.
Yeah.
If you can read it.
It's clearly. Well, no, I can't.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Clearly, Vontaze perfect.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Disagree wholeheartedly.
I might not even have to have this conversation. I might just get to sick the dog.
I'm just gonna. I think you should just go on your rant.
Yeah, let's hear it, Dan. Because
I don't have a rant.
Yes, you do have a rant. It was like 20 minutes when I got here.
No, he had the fucking rant. We argued on the fucking phone for like 20 minutes, and he's the one that got it started. Me,
Just go on the rant.
I'll go on the fucking rant,
All right.
okay? Fucking Christ. I get
Good start.
I get why you guys are, think you should be the piece of shit, why you should be kicked out of the NFL, all this bullshit,
shoot you in
whatever.
my face.
What? You said
Keep
shoot you in the
going.
face? You want to disrupt my
No, I
rant?
said
Am
make
I
sure-
not supposed to be ranting right now?
I said, make sure you get my face.
Oh. Fuck you. No, it's not even much of a rant. It's literally, I don't think that play warranted a 12-game suspension. I think the NFL uses Burfict as a boogeyman / villain, and they're going to use him to make an example of him. Now, I'm not saying that he hasn't done stupid shit before, and he hasn't brought it on himself. Can he be playing the game differently? Yes. I just disagree with the way that the NFL is doing it. I think that the hit, was it bad? Sure. But 10 years ago, that hit was celebrated.
Well,
I get that the rules have changed. I get that it's
Not
different.
10 years anymore.
I get that. But that means guys like John Lynch, Ronnie Lott, fucking Doug Plank, Gary Fensick.
Yeah, well, we changed the way the footballs are made, and that has an effect on how they play the game today. You can't hold that against the fucking quarterbacks of the 60s who just handed it off 40 fucking times.
But then my biggest argument with the entire thing is that there is this play every single week. There are plenty of guys that you can name in the NFL that are playing in this day and age with these same rules that are not treated the exact same as Vontaze Burfict.
Yeah, they're not named Vontaze Burfict.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. He's been plagued as the boogeyman. He is the villain.
He is the boogeyman. He is the piece of shit. And he should... Dude, this warrants indefinite, bro. They're kicking people for weed. There's no fucking...
Well, you know my stance on that. That shit's ridiculous.
When you look at the scope of things, he tried to murder Jack Doyle.
Don't think that murder is the correct word to use in this situation. Did he try to...
What was it?
He tried to fuck up Jack Doyle.
Separate his brain from his shoulders.
Jack Doyle was catching the ball, trying to get up,
You know,
making
if you
a
actually
football
look at
move.
it, it wasn't really a football move. He's kind of going to his ass.
Involuntary
falling
Hey,
to the ground.
manslaughter.
He was kind of falling to the ground.
Disagree
All
wholeheartedly.
right, so even if we give you a pass on the helmet to helmet, lowering his head, chin into his chest, spear, what do you have to say about both of the forearms that he throws at his
I
fucking
could give
head?
two fucks about his forearms. Like I said, I'm not arguing the fact that it looked like a dirty hit, and it looked like he intentionally was going to go for the head. I just know that football is a game that's played in a matter of 3 seconds between snaps. It's not that easy to make decisions on the fly, and when you've been taught the way to play the game your entire life, you play it that way. And when you play it differently or you try to slow it down for yourself, that's how people get hurt.
And when the rules change and
I'm saying that
everyone
he needs
else
to
is
fix it.
and when the rules change and everyone else is making a conscious effort to
Conscious effort.
fix